Welcome to This is Baseball. I am Brandon Johnson. We're a week out from the MLB All-Star Game. So last week I touched a little bit on the votes for the potential starters for the All-Star Game. Those votes have closed, and we now know not only the starters of the All-Star Game, but we know the roster as a whole. So I'm going to get into that a little bit, and I'll also go over the Home Run Derby candidates. We don't know everybody that's competing so far, but we know who most of them are. So going to go through that in the All-Star Game real quick. And start in the American League. So the American League starters at catcher from Baltimore, Adley Rutschman. At first base from Toronto, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Second base from the Astros, Jose Altuve. Third base from the Guardians, Jose Ramirez. At shortstop from Baltimore, Gunnar Henderson. Outfield, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto from New York. Steven Kwan from Cleveland. At DH, Yordan Alvarez. And some standout names real quick. Gunnar Henderson, who won Rookie of the Year last year, is following up that season with a potential MVP type of season. He hit 28 home runs in all of 2023. He currently, before the All-Star break, has 27 runs. He had 82 RBIs last season. He has 61 RBIs right now. He's batting .293. His on-base percentage is .384. An OPS of .988. So having an incredible season, building off of what was already a great rookie season in his second full season, is a big part of the Baltimore Orioles' success. Next, let's talk Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto obviously both play for the Yankees. They have a combined home run total of 53 home runs. 32 from Aaron Judge, 21 from Juan Soto. Aaron Judge has 83 RBIs already, and Juan Soto has an on-base percentage of .430, which is insane. And that's not even a career high for him. In 2021, he had an on-base percentage of .465. Now, in 2020, he had an on-base percentage of .490, but that was obviously the 60-game season. He only played 47 of those games. 2021, he played 151 games. So, I mean, he gets on base. Now, I want to talk a few American League pitchers that are standing out right now. Let's start off with Corbin Burnes. Corbin Burnes was acquired by the Baltimore Orioles from the Milwaukee Brewers this offseason, and he's currently 9-3 with a .232 ERA. He has a whip just over 1, has 105 strikeouts, and has been a complete positive for Baltimore this season. A couple more pitchers in the American League that I want to highlight are both Kansas City Royals pitchers, both Seth Lugo and Cole Ragans. Seth Lugo, off-season acquisition for the Royals. He is 11-3. That leads the league for wins, and he has a .221 ERA. Seth Lugo has exceeded, I think, everybody's expectations and then some. When the Royals signed him, I really expected him to just come in and bring some stability to this pitching staff, but he's instead come in and he's been a leader and he's been dominant, and he's had really just a couple of outings that weren't so great, but he's just kind of turned in quality start after quality start and continues to put the Royals in a position to win baseball games. And that same goes for Cole Ragans. Now, Cole Reagans is a little bit more interesting if you look at his stats. So he's 5-6 this season. He has a 3.28 ERA, but Cole Reagans gets absolutely no run support. But he is completely deserving of this all-star nod. Yeah, because obviously, he pitches. He doesn't score runs. He's not part of the offense, so that's completely out of his control. So hopefully the Royals can figure that out. Now, two Royals that have been big contributions to the Royals' success this season as far as the offense is concerned is Salvador Perez, got his 9th All-Star selection, and Bobby Witt Jr., who is getting his first All-Star selection this season. Now, Salvador Perez is the kind of the heart and soul of the Kansas City Royals. He's the leader of that team. He was on the Royals team whenever they won the World Series 10 years ago, and he's a huge reason for why they are where they are now. You don't get named captain of your team by accident. And for Bobby Witt Jr., this is his 3rd season in the majors, and he's got 119 hits. That leads the American League, 25 doubles. His 15 home runs, 61 RBIs, batting average of 324, on base 372, OPS 936. And he's probably going to get some MVP consideration this season. Let's move over to the National League. The National League starters at catcher for the Brewers, William Contreras. First base for the Phillies, Bryce Harper. Second base for the Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte. Third base from the Phillies, Alec Bohm. At shortstop from the Phillies, Trey Turner. In the outfield from San Diego, Jurickson Profar and Fernando Tatis Jr. Christian Yelich from Milwaukee is the third outfielder, and then the DH is Shohei Ohtani. Now looking at Shohei Ohtani's stats, he's a full-time DH this season. Obviously, he's rehabbing from his Tommy John that he had. He has 28 home runs. That leads the National League. He's slugging .637, which also leads the National League, and he leads the league in OPS and OPS plus in total bases. Shohei Ohtani has the potential to be an MVP at the DH position. And that would be significant because nobody that plays solely DH has ever won MVP. So Shohei Ohtani has a chance to make history there if he continues on the path that he is currently on. I want to talk about Jurickson Profar for a second because him making the All-Star team is pretty cool. He's having a little bit of a career resurgence. He's 31 years old, and he's having career highs in a lot of categories. He's batting .315. His on-base percentage is currently .408, which is way higher than he's really ever had. His slugging is way up, .498, and his OPS is .907, which is like 200 points higher than he's ever had. So he's having a great season this year. Another name that stuck out to me was Christian Yelich. This is the first time that we've seen Christian Yelich as an all-star since 2019. This is his best season since 2019. He's batting .329 right now, which is currently a career high. The power isn't quite there like it used to be. In 2018, he hit 36 home runs. 2019, he hit 44. Currently sitting at 11. Last year he was at 19. He's probably going to finish around that 20 mark again. But good to see Christian Yelich back at the All-Star game. Let's look at some pitchers for the National League. Tyler Glasnow. This is his first All-Star game selection, which initially was surprising to me. And then I pulled up his career, and he's never pitched more than 120 innings. He's currently, and that was last season. He's currently at 109 innings. and having a good season. That one just caught me off guard a little bit. Ryan Helsley is an all-star for the St. Louis Cardinals. He is their closer, and he's had a really fun season. He went on like a 30 straight games saved streak. He's at 31 saves for the season. That's honestly what a lot of closers get in a season, is around 30 saves. So he's sitting at that before we've even reached the All-Star break. So he's had a really great season. He's a big reason for the St. Louis Cardinals' recent success. I saw a tweet that they have won or at least split 13 of their last 16 series that they've played. And they're 32 and 18 in their past 50 games. The only team that's better is the Cleveland Guardians. Let's talk about Chris Sale. Chris Sale is an all-star for the first time since 2018. If you remember, Chris Sale was just dominant between the White Sox and the Red Sox in the 2010s, and had a little bit of a resurgence last year, and now he's with the Atlanta Braves and having a nice season. He currently leads the league in FIP, and if you're wondering what that is, that means fielding independent pitching. That basically, it's very similar to ERA, but FIP isolates the pitcher's performance from their defense, so it really focuses on things that the pitcher has control over. It focuses on strikeouts, walks, hits by pitches, and home runs. So it's really just everything that the pitcher has control of and doesn't really take anything else into consideration. And a lot of teams like to use that because, like I said, it's really focused on things that the pitcher has control over, where ERA factors in a lot of stuff that the pitcher doesn't have control over as far as balls in play and defense. This is just something that is a little bit more dialed in on the actual player rather than the team as a whole on defense. Now, to back up Chris Sale's FIP, he also leads the league in WHIP, walks, hits, and innings pitched. And you want to have that around 1, and he is below that. He has a WHIP of 913. So he's having a really good season, to say the least. Now, the final pitcher that I want to highlight for the National League is the rookie Paul Skeens for Pittsburgh. Kind of talked about him last week, and he has made a very quick impression on the league. He's only made 10 starts. He's 5-0. Is a 2.12 ERA, and is going to be in the Rookie of the Year race. He might even be in the Cy Young race. And then a couple of other standout hitters to me that made the roster. Mookie Betts, who has been injured for a little over a month now, was actually in consideration for being a starter at the All-Star game, but obviously isn't. Ellie De La Cruz for Cincinnati. This is his first All-Star appearance. Remember him coming up last season and just tearing up the league. Freddie Freeman, an All-Star as well. But that is the All-Stars of 2024. If you want to see the full rosters, you can check that out really anywhere. MLB.com would be the best place to look for that. But let's talk some home run derby. I talked last week about some rule changes regarding the home run derby. If you missed that episode, you can check that out. But we have most of the contestants announced so far. Obviously, there's less than a week to go, so we'll know who everybody is here very soon. But the contestants right now are Jose Ramirez, Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso just makes an annual appearance at the Home Run Derby. They might as well just name it after him at this point. Alec Boehm, Marcell Ozuna, and Bobby Witt Jr. So from who we have right now, this is going to be a pretty fun home run derby to watch. That's going to be the night before the All-Star game, which happens, the All-Star game's on July 15th, home run derby's on July 14th. That's a Monday and a Tuesday. But I am very excited for this All-Star game. I think that MLB has the best All-Star game. I think it's one that I look forward to the most, and I think the players seem to enjoy it. I know, for about 15-ish years, maybe, give or take, the All-Star game, the winner of the All-Star game would decide who had home field advantage in the World Series. And now that's obviously not a thing anymore, and you have the players that are able to just come in and have fun and have a good time. You have the on-field interviews and just all the other antics that go on in the All-Star game. And it feels like the closest thing to an actual in-season game that you would get, which I think is another thing that makes it one of the best All-Star games around. Because if you look at NFL is flag football at this point. It's not really even worth watching all that much. NBA is just a scoring fest. There's absolutely no defense played. You have both teams scoring 150 plus points, and there's really not a lot of interest there. I can't really speak on NHL's All-Star game. I know that that's a pretty good one, but I'm not that well versed in NHL. But I think that MLB just has the best All-Star game, and I actually look forward to it every year. And then something that's fun about the All-Star game is after the All-Star game, we gear up for the trade deadline and really just the pennant chase. It's the race to the finish. There's, going to be there's going to be 60 to 70 games left on the schedule. There's a lot of teams that are going to have to make some big decisions at their trade deadline, whether they're going to be buyers or sellers or staying pat, because there's a lot of teams that are hovering around 500 or are within 1, 2, 3 games of potentially being in the playoffs, and you have to decide, if you're a front office, if you want to go all in, be super aggressive, and get rid of some of your top-end farm talent and say, we're going to win this thing this year, or maybe you don't have any top prospects, but you need some help in your bullpen, or you need an outfield arm. Maybe you have to think about giving up some MLB talent that you have. Maybe you're like, you know what? I feel really good about this team that we have. We don't need to add or really do anything. We're going to just get through this. So it's going to be really fun, because I think after the All-Star game, you're going to see a lot of these moves start to ramp up, and I think we'll be surprised at some of the teams that are buyers and sellers. But there will be more on that as the weeks kind of go by. But for now, we'll just focus and get excited for the All-Star game. That's all I have this week. Thank you for listening to This Is Baseball. I'll see you next week.